guys.
Hello.
You've studied this, I can tell. Do you like maths? Are you into maths? See, I was 47 years old before I came across this formula, and I like maths. You said it's wrong?
It's wrong.
Okay, why is it wrong?
Because x equals r, take away r, bracket is r, it does not equal 39.5 maths.
Okay, yeah, you know why? Because this formula, which is not my formula, by the way, this is a formula, if you ask Google, what is the curvature for Earth, it'll offer you this.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, but you know why? Because it becomes a
15 digits,
parabola. You know, it ends up being like a steep kind of dropping right off the curve. But I say to people that actually, if we lived on a globe, 39 radius, we would have the same amount of curvature, no matter where we happen to be on that globe. Yeah.
So
it would always be the same amount of bending. And I contend that if you had to travel from the North Pole to the South Pole, you're traveling 12,500 miles over the skin of the ball, and you're descending 8,000 miles. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
I've got to go down 8,000 miles. If I want to go, if you believe that you live on the top of a ball, and you want to go to the bottom of the ball, then that to there is a known drop in my height.
Right. So first off, you believe in flat Earth, yes?
I believe that the Earth is not spinning, and that
you believe the Earth is not level. You said that you believe in flat Earth, like the theory of the Earth is.
No, remember the flat Earth theory is a government psyop, really. You know, because most people when they think of flat Earth, they think of a disk. I think that's an electromagnetic Earth. I've studied quantum physics, and I see that in quantum physics is the truth about the way that this world is structured.
So it's gravity as well. There's Henry Cavill.
So gravity, which gravity do you mean, Einstein or Newton?
Newton's theory of gravity.
Okay, so Newtonian gravity is mass attracts mass, right?
Yes.
Well, that is debunked after about junior school, high school. By the time you get to university, they say, no, mass attract mass is not right. It's time-space dilation. It's Einstein.
Einstein's theory of relativity. Yeah.
Well, that applies if you're talking about, calculating things on Earth, but the further away from Earth you go, and more into like the space, time stuff.
Well, I think
then you're into quantum physics, aren't you?
Yeah.
On the theory of relativity.
Yeah. So really, gravity, when we express it as 6 years old in school, or 7 years old in school, that's the dropping of the pencil. Oh, that's the expression of gravity, right?
But gravity is different on each planet. If you look at the solar system, the force of gravity is different on each.
The question, man. We've never been to another planet. What we see in the sky is lights. The idea that there are rocks is very much under suspicion at this point in time. The idea that rocks can float or that gas giants will coalesce under their own mass is pseudoscience, bro. We can't prove this. Thermodynamics, we can't hold gas in a container made of gas. Prove to me otherwise.
Schrodinger's cat. So you say that you can't hold gas inside a container full of gas?
No, made of gas, not full of gas. So the walls of the container need to be gas.
So if you go down to molecular levels, you can, in subatomic particles, you can actually hold gas inside gas. But you can't hold it technically because it's actually encased inside of it.
Physics, that you and me, good science, requires that you and me should be able to test this for ourselves, falsify it.
Yes.
So I can't test that claim that you just made. But in physics, in reality, if I take a gas and I put it in a container and I breach that container, it will equalize with the surrounding atmosphere. That's thermodynamics. So we're saying that thermodynamics laws cannot be broken just because we happen to think that we want to live on a globe. We must be in a container.
Right.
To have the gas pressure that we're standing in now, there must be containment.
But because all over here, you've got pictures of the Earth being flat. Yes?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay,
so pictures of the Earth being flat. Okay. And then you're saying that there's actually a curvature when you're down here, because you're saying this is what you see actually happens.
No.
Are you saying, which one are you actually saying?
No, this is the globe's. This is the globe's.
So this one's a flat.
So run me back for the particle thing, like the gases.
Yeah.
Are you saying that gases can't be attracted to larger masses?
Yeah, I don't think that gases really work on their independently, don't they? The gases will move until they are acted on by something else. So they have to be hit. They have to hit a wall, or something in order for them to change direction. But gas is
They
moving
have to hit
around.
something solid. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe not something solid, because I could blow
Yeah.
on this air and create other air to move.
Because you know that the escape velocity, for instance, of oxygen has to be like 11 miles per.
No, I don't know about that. The escape velocity for oxygen.
11.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
that-
It doesn't. It's not going to escape unless it's fast enough.
Okay, what about helium?
Helium is not oxygen, so helium is a different kind of particle in itself. So helium's thing is 15.6
Miles per hour.
miles per hour.
So it's
And
going
it's contained
up.
underground, so they mine it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it will escape.
Yeah.
We will technically escape, so yeah.
So it's going to go up and just keep going up until
Yeah.
it gets into the.
The way they get the helium is from the ground.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
trapped. They
Yeah,
have
that's
to
right.
mine that.
So it's almost like your own body creates gases, right?
Yeah.
And the Earth is the same. It's like a living body that's creating gases. I understand that. But when I let go of a gas in like an elevator, for example, that gas goes, spreads, and fills the entire place almost immediately.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
just
That's how gases operate. And it'll
Yeah.
stay within that container until the doors of the lift open, unless there's cracks and gaps. It'll stay in there until the lift opens, and when it opens, then it will start to equalize into the surrounding environment. That's just how gases work. But now, if I had
well,
to,
that just works with anything, because
Yeah.
that goes right down to the basics of year 7 science,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't it? You've learned about solids, gases, and liquids, don't you? Because all a solid is just a load of particles in the thing in a confined space, vibrating,
Mm-hmm.
and then liquid is it just moving about a bit more, and then gases is moving out all the way
Free
around.
movement,
Free
yeah,
movement.
yeah.
But what you're saying is, use your elevator theory. If I let gas,
gas, yeah.
into an end plate, which is a steel container, at the time quotation,
Yeah.
steel container.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's obviously
I
gaps and
understand
stuff
it,
like
yeah.
that. But if you put it into an airtight sealing container, yeah, obviously it's going to stay in there
Yeah.
until you open it up, and then it's going to be filling the rest of the space.
yeah.
So it doesn't actually ever come out of the container, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah,
it goes
'cause
up to the
there's another-
atmosphere.
Well, no, this is what we're contending, is that the atmosphere is a container. Because if it wasn't
Well,
a
technically,
container-
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's containing the oxygen, the correct balance, and it's creating the sunlight to come in so we can actually survive. But technically, yes, the atmosphere is technically a container.
So, and that's why I was saying that, but in physics, we can't contain gases by only using gases. And that's what we're saying, is that the ozone or
The
gravity.
gas itself,
So
certain
what you-
gases can't escape.
So what you're saying is,
Gravitational field.
obviously you've got the
Well, let me just answer your friend's question. So helium
Yeah.
will escape at what do you say, 15 miles an hour or something?
Yes, it will.
Upwards.
Yeah.
So how is gravity going to affect it? If it can't affect it on the ground, how's
Because
it
the
going to
mass
affect it
of
20
the
miles?
Earth is not big enough to contain the helium. It has to be a bigger planet
Okay, so-
to contain the helium.
So the helium is going up,
Yeah.
but then it stops somewhere, or does it just keep going up
Oh.
until it goes
Keep
into
going
the
up.
vacuum of space?
Yeah.
Not according to mainstream science, that there are layers of thinner noble gases or thinner gases in the upper atmosphere.
well, that's
And-
yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
densest gas is
So-
down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's how things settle in reality, is that heavier things will settle to the bottom and lighter things will settle to the top. And we've got this example here of that, you've probably seen this yourself, where different liquids have got different density, and so they can settle upon each other
Yeah.
in strata.
Yeah.
And then you can get different objects that'll either float out of those or sink down through those, right? And if this test tube here, or this tube, was 1,000 miles long, you would still see this stratification
Yeah.
of different liquids and solid gases at different levels. And that's what I think that the world is like it's a series of strata. And then as you go down,
It's put into layman's terms that you think that the world is layered
layered.
in like the most basic sense possible.
Because, if you lived on a globe like this, right, and there was a sort of top of it, because there must be a top. If there's an axis of 23 degrees,
Yeah, but
23.5,
the thing
then-
is,
then there's a top. But let me just make my point, is that if someone was making a fire or letting go helium gas on South America, say, on Africa, then, and the helium can't be held by the gravitational pull, as you admitted, it's not strong enough here to hold it, gravity, then why doesn't it find its way to the top of the globe and then all
that's not how it
coalesce
works.
to the top? Well,
It'll-
I'm saying logically.
using this as a prop, because obviously, which, there we go. So yeah, but you got to remember the Earth is like that.
Yeah.
It's on an axis.
Well,
Not exactly that
Begging
much.
the question. I don't know that it's like that. When you say I've got to
We've got
remember
pictures,
that, I
we've got
used to
images.
believe that.
We've got pictures and images to prove.
Okay, that's a good one you bring up because the pictures and images are just cartoons. Did you know that NASA had to admit that they've only got 2 photos of Earth from space, and even the first one, which was 1972, returning from the moon, turns out to be a Photoshop. Photoshop experts have proven that the Earth in that shot has been layered into the picture. So this guy called Rob Simmons over here, he's admitted on YouTube, the video is still there. I was very surprised to find that iPhone put my blue marble shot as the iPhone screensaver back in 2002. And he said how I made this image was I took data strips and I said, all right, there's a lot of phytoplankton in the ocean there, because no one really knows. He says, this video is still there with this Rob Simmons one.
I mean, if
No
you were
one
to
knows
try
what
to-
it looks
yeah.
like, he says. I've never been up there, so I had to imagine what this ocean would look like here, and put some clouds in there. So he's not taking, there's not a photo of Earth like people
I
do.
mean, when you take a photo of something in space, for example, you know the black hole that they
I've
supposedly
never
did.
done that, but go on.
They did have to like, you know, pick up. It was essentially
Data.
thermal imaging. It wasn't a actual.
It's not a photograph, is it? Hey, it's
No.
all data. So if I say to you, listen, when you get this number that comes through in the data set, interpret it as a black hole. When you see this number, interpret it as
Yeah.
a blue shift.
Yeah.
When you see this
'Cause
number,
you
interpret it
can't
as
take
a
a
red.
picture of it with a normal phone.
You can't, and this is the conundrum is that like with the WMAP, you know what the WMAP is, the background radiation survey that they used to
Yeah.
do every year, and that would always put Earth right at the center of the background radiation, and that
Yeah.
was philosophically a problem for the science because they don't want Earth to be in the center.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of how you interpret the data. I see that as, yes, we're in the center. They see that as some anomalous kind of way that the system works, that it seems to just put us at the center of the known
Yeah.
measurable electromagnetic background radiation. So no, like I say, these by the way, I mean these are NASA's own images, by the way, and in them you see, people don't really like to admit it, but this is North America here, which is dominating the globe. But if you take a look at North America over here, this one here, it's a much smaller North America.
I mean, it depends on the way the camera is.
Well, all of these circles are exactly the
because you
same
know when you
size.
take a picture on your phone,
Yeah.
like a selfie,
Yeah.
the way the camera works is that your nose looks a bit bigger because
Also lighting.
It being
in
closer.
comparison, if you
I accept those things.
yeah,
These are often,
it's just the way that
but you know, I mean, even the colors of the continents on this one are orange. You know, none of that stuff really makes sense. But if you've heard them say,
Tidying stuff all over the ground
I
here.
did, yes.
Are you going to tidy it all up?
I'll let
Because
the
this is
rain
like a
take
public
care of it.
space.
It is a public
and
space,
it's for
and
all
I'm-
of us, not for
and
you
so
to write
I'm-
your gibberish all over the place like this.
That's why it upsets you, because you think that you live on a
really,
globe.
man. Tidy it up. Tidy it up.
Are you the boss?
Clear it up.
I don't work for you.
Look, this is
Keep
all
walking.
our spaces. All our spaces. All our
I'm
stuff
allowed to
belongs
make
to
a
all of
protest.
us.
I'm allowed to make a
You make a
put
protest when you
information
want.
down.
Do it on your own time, somewhere in your own
This
space.
is my own time and this is my own space. Off you go. So, like I say,
Alright.
I get a lot of
I don't
abuse.
understand people like that. Like,
I-
that I don't understand with it. I don't agree with it. You're in the weekend.
Yeah.
As you
it's
said,
chalk, it'll wash off eventually.
as you
Everyone
said,
knows that.
as he said,
the next
it-
rainfall and this is gone.
As you said, it's your own time as well, 'cause it's
Yeah.
a weekend.
Yeah.
And he said it's a public space. You're allowed to do this in public. I'm not. It's
Police-
like,
Listen, I do this in many cities in the country,
Yeah.
and the police walk past me all the time, and they never do anything but greet me. And I can be writing this stuff down because at the end of the day, I'm not putting anything rude down, and I'm not defacing it.
no,
Because,
I
you know,
can understand if you come out.
intelligently,
I can understand if you come out with
spray
oil,
paint.
with oil or spray paint. But no, this is
That's
chalk.
why I use chalk.
I could just right. What?
Yeah,
This is just to prove to your
Yeah,
little
yeah.
thing. Huh?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh look,
Exactly.
it's gone.
And someone
It's
with half
water.
they just take a bottle of water and they can wash it away. So
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter. No.
it's really because what I'm raising is something that's triggering. If I put down there stuff like I'm against 15-minute cities, I'm against forcing people to take
15-minute
vaccines.
cities. What's that?
That's
What's that?
like the Oxford program is the first one in the UK where you're going to be reduced from moving around your city.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
They're blocking off roads, and then they use all
I
this AMPR to make sure you never take your car out of your area.
We might not see eye to eye on this, but I do see eye to eye on maybe other theories that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
might
The
have.
There's a
government,
lot of
the
stuff.
government's control us anyways. Like,
Yeah. So have you guys looked into 9/11?
I have actually at great length.
Yeah.
I did a full
Yeah.
5-hour presentation of
Did
it.
you?
Yeah.
What did you find?
I found out that it was too because obviously the steel in the jet engine fuel does not actually create
Yeah.
enough
Heat.
power or enough heat to
Okay.
melt the steel of the
Alright,
building. Also, just before, as you can tell by the camera angles, multiple different camera angles, there's 2 explosions before and after
Right,
things. I
right,
think
right.
I could go at length on this one.
Well done.
But
Well done.
I'll
Have you got as far as the possibility that the planes were layered in technology?
Yes.
Yeah. The bombs are obviously preloaded to
Yeah,
look like a plane.
you can dive down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
but you have to sort out the information from the fact,
mean,
and
I
the
think
fact from the
you
bullshit,
could-
and the
you could-
bullshit from the
yeah.
information.
Well done though, 5-hour presentation. That's impressive. I've got friends on my channel who'd be very
I
impressed
mean,
with that.
to be fair, at the end of the day, it's very suspicious that the man who owned those buildings took out an insurance against.
true.
Larry,
Absolutely.
Lucky Larry,
Yeah.
Silverstein, yeah.
Silverstein.
Yeah, Silverstein. And he said about Building 7, he said, I think we should just pull it.
Yeah.
You see that? So Building 7 falls in, what, 8 seconds? Sorry, Building 7, yes, 50 stories, 8 seconds, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, also the quite amazing part is quite a lot of the higher up bosses didn't turn into work that day.
yes, yes.
They didn't.
No,
No.
they
Of course
didn't.
they didn't. No.
No.
Which
That's a
is
bit weird.
which is you going. So you're telling me the middle of
Yes.
of the World Trade Centers, highly dense thing of data analysing,
I mean, that's how it
buying
is, isn't
everything.
it?
Yeah.
All the people that are like working, they will die or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
succumb to the
But
explosion.
you're telling
Yeah.
me all the high bosses and
The high bosses,
high level,
no.
high ranking officials in
Somehow
the
happen to have the
companies
day off.
are not coming in on this one random day, September the 11th. You're telling me on that one day they all
Yeah.
went, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And-
the
I mean,
day
it's the
after,
same thing with the submarine. Everybody they
Yes.
detected the implosion. They literally
Yes.
just admitted that they detected it, but they decided to make this whole media frenzy
drama
around
for days.
billionaires, and then they
Yes.
forgot about the
Yes.
migrants that died.
Yes.
300 of them.
Well,
all drowned.
It's always when you see a big story like that, it's like what else is being pushed
Yeah.
under the carpet while that
Yeah.
while that thing is going on to distract the masses, get them looking this way.
Yeah.
Left hand is doing something else. So it's all a big bait and switch.
Well, let's put it this way: that the submarine that got built is
Controller.
With the PS2 controller.
not PS2 controller. It's,
No?
it's a knockoff. It's a knockoff brand of the PS.
Logic chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
But the thing is, the drug cartel down in South Mexico, because I was on HMS, whatever, and we.
This guy has stories. This
All
guy
right, all right.
So-
You're Navy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we were doing it, they found it, and it was so technologically advanced. They took it up to where we have all our submarines.
What this same?
This is
sub?
not the sub.
Oh.
This is one that they made.
Okay.
All these drug cartel things.
Okay.
And they made it, and the Royal Navy went up, and they looked around, and going,
Wow.
actually quite well built this.
Yeah.
Oh, they've done this, and then they later found out a couple of plans from like the early 80s and 70s
Yeah.
had been leaked. And
Wow.
it's like
They built
obviously-
their own.
Yeah, obviously you got the things of people leaving stuff in Weatherspoons, pubs, and obviously the nuclear submarines and all that.
Okay. Okay. So here's a thought, right? This is interesting that the sub is actually built by, as far as I know, by NASA.
NASA built it.
Believe it
Yeah.
or not. I heard that they were involved in the building of the.
It was unregistered,
tub.
unlicensed, everything was anything. If you've watched the video of him explaining how he built it, a lot of the stuff came from hardware
He literally
stores.
said safety didn't
Okay,
concern him.
so
It's
it makes
innovation.
me think of the lunar lander. See, the lunar lander, when you look at it on a 4K, looks like it was made by high school students with fish poles, with shower poles and cardboard. It's really not really well built, right, at
Yeah.
all. So this thing, I think, was designed as a story to implode in the way that it does. Because if you, let's say you were a billionaire and you wanted to go as deep as Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Then you would want the very best of technology.
I mean,
right?
I'm sorry, but you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
Why are you only paying?
Yeah.
Going the Challenger 2, going.
There are ways of going down, right?
Yeah,
It
There's
doesn't
a-
make any sort of sense to pay $250 for a small tin can.
Yeah. Which is, you'd want the very best
I would-
technology.
I would-
You're driving a Bentley.
I've got enough money. I can do
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I'll
you'll make
go,
sure
I'll go
that-
buy my own one.
Yeah.
If
And
even
you'd
if
make
it costed
sure,
$1 million.
and you'd make sure that thing's been rated. It's been tested at 4 miles or
Yeah.
4Ks or whatever.
I'll do more than 4 miles. I'll be testing it as far as I need.
I mean, I can understand there are some, great, crazy guys like the CEO who would push the limits and try to go down there
Yeah.
Yeah.
to But like,
but
yeah,
I think
it
it's a
does,
distraction, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that no one died. Maybe people did die for
those
real.
5 people, yeah.
But maybe they were never on the boat, on the sub anyway, and it just went down and was imploded at whatever depth.
Yeah.
This is a suspicion I have about this whole story.
It doesn't make sense,
As
yeah.
a distraction, maybe as a way of bringing in new legislation to stop people who are wealthy from building their own craft and going and exploring some of these things that maybe they don't want us to.
I mean, if they're wealthy, it's not going to stop them, is it?
Well, possibly not, but you know what, you might have come across the Antarctic Treaty being in the Navy. Have you been taught about that? We're not allowed, civilians are not allowed past the 60th parallel without permission and on a guided tour. And people have been turned back by navies trying to get beyond that. I saw a video recently on YouTube where in Australia the guys are on a fishing craft and they were going as far as they could south. And then this cruiser just comes right up on them, sends a drone over them.
What?
And turns them around.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were doing nothing wrong other than just heading south, but the treaty stops us.
There's a lot more stuff that I could say, but I'm not.
You're not allowed to say. Well, let me tell you, by the way, I was in the military. I was in the military when I was 18, 19. I had to do 2 years national service, and I ended up in a war in a country called Angola.
Yeah.
And there we were seeing things that we were told no one's allowed to know about what you see right now. So I know for sure that you know stuff that you can't tell me. But I do know about the American Navy's railgun, and you probably know about the railgun too.
Don't know anything about that.
Okay.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, you're not allowed to speak. Well, let me tell you that you might have one here, and the British Navy might have one too, but the Americans have put it. I can't speak on that, but I know that the Americans did a documentary on theirs, and they say that they can paint a ship with a laser at 80 miles. That doesn't work on a globe.
I'm not.
No comment.
No comment.
I cannot comment on that or
Well,
give any things
that's,
towards that.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, we see, for me, ships cannot go. The only way you can take a ship down a mountain is like Panama. You have to lock it. You have to settle it onto a flat body of water.
That one I would disagree with.
Okay, you can take like a rubber dinghy down a slope,
no,
right?
that's not a ship though, is it?
No, but I've never seen Suez Canal. You probably sailed that, right? Suez is 120 k's long, provably level from end to end.
It's not though, is it? It's not though.
Well, if it's not, then our ships literally going down, because they say it's 8 inches per mile square, but I say if you were ship's captain and you'd say, okay, can you tell me the next mile ahead, is it curving or is it flat? No, it's flat. How about the next mile? How about for 1,000 miles? Every mile that you take, it's flat.
Oh, it's not, because you can see the curvature.
Well,
You can measure the curvature with the ray of the satellite using for the information. So, again,
is that straight over? Is that like the x-axis straight over the curvature going down that way, or is it the y?
So I see the y-axis that gets caught by the say that's the y-axis. That's the x-axis, and the c-axis is up in the satellite. Yeah, so you create almost kind of a curvature like that, and then the satellite cuts it, and you create kind of a bend that almost comes around like that. If that makes any sense. But, and it's also done with lasers and different technical equipment.
Yeah.
But it does prove that there is a curvature to the Earth.
But the thing is, okay, so if I was wanting to trick people into believing that there was a curvature, firstly, I would say you can see the ship going over the horizon at 4 or 5 miles. That's what Wikipedia will tell us, is that the ship will go over the horizon 4 or 5 miles. It doesn't say how high the ship needs to be, which it should, because a 20-meter ship and a 30-meter high ship is going to surely be visible longer if it's taller, right? Anyway.
Well, that's only under the pretense that it's flat.
If it's curving.
If it's curving, yes.
Then it's going down at a fixed rate,
not gradual declines.
And that would be the same.
Which it does do.
But you must have had the experience though on a cloudy day versus on a clear day, having ranges of view that is sometimes 10 miles and 20 miles.
Again, in that case, it doesn't actually matter because of the different curvature of the Earth. Because as you can see there, you've got the 2 pillboxes, yeah? Yeah. Those are the 2 pillboxes. You can see the ship right on in the distance there. You can obviously see that moving across, can't you?
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's more further down there.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's going to be gradually disappearing, which it already is. As you can see from the white one over there, it's gradually going down, which proves from this angle that the Earth is curved.
What if I was to say, the salt flats in Bolivia? You might have heard of them, they're the world's biggest mirror. When it rains, they form form the world's biggest mirror.
Yeah.
And they're perfectly level and flat. And we could experiment, if we could go there now, we could experiment by me walking away from you guys for a mile. And as I walked away, my feet would disappear, my ankles, my knees, my hips. And the last thing you'd see in the shimmering would be my head. And then it would be gone.
Yeah.
But it's flat.
But
So-
it's not.
But no, this is
It's
the
on-
Bolivia
it's on the
sulfates,
Earth,
which
is-
are...
which is a
Oh
sphere.
no! These are recorded as being flat. You know, like this Kansas, for example, is like the flattest state or whatever. It's not that it's curving.
Yeah.
It's that it's flat.
I mean-
well,
I mean-
let me offer you this. So we're on the east coast of England, right? If we travelled over to Western Supermare or to Wales or whatever to go to the west coast, right? We would go up to the Mendips. That would be the highest point, about 350 meters of altitude above sea level. And then we would descend down 350 meters to get back to sea level. The sea level, aside from tidal variation, is the same around the UK or around Great Britain. And I could say the same example and make it Africa and say I'm going to go up to 3,000 meters at the highest point in Central Africa, and I'm going to drop down 3,000 meters. So topographically, we use one sea level to say this is how high you are above sea level, and I can go all the way around Africa, and I'm using the same point of sea
but
level.
I would say, I'm going to say this now, some of the things that you put on the floor kind of counteract what you're saying, if that makes any sense.
I'm trying to promote people, pro people. I mean, prompt them.
Do you know what I mean? You kind of counteract and you kind of disproving your own words, if that makes
which
sense.
one?
You say the Earth is flat, like water, yeah?
Yeah.
How can you prove that water is flat?
At rest. Okay, I didn't finish. Or I didn't. Obviously that's only a partial statement. When water at rest is level. How can you disprove that?
You can disprove it because you can manipulate. Are you saying at rest? Because it depends on the container.
Yeah.
Depends on the container that you put water in.
Yeah, well, I say at rest because, okay, obviously, there's a little bit of chop over this water, and it's almost impossible to find the sea perfectly still. Although I'm sure you've been out on a glassy day and gone, wow, that's pretty smooth, pretty flat out there. But we can do that over a lake. We can definitely get a perfectly still lake, and it's a mirror. When you look at the other side of the lake, what you're seeing is a perfected version of what's on the other side of the lake. So we can demonstrate water being level. We build
Well,
over
in that
water being
case,
level.
You see the water there? Yeah? That water is chocolate.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that because it's a gravitational pull of the lunar and
No, I'd say that if I took your glass, if you had a glass of water and I blew on it, I would be able to create chop.
Yeah.
And
But
this
why do
is
tides
not.
exist?
But then, as you,
Tides exist, yeah.
The thing is, if you look there, it's choppy.
Yeah.
If you look there,
Yeah.
it's still.
Yeah.
How are those two both different when you're saying that the water and the Earth is flat?
Well, one, we're talking about a large expanse of water, so the energy that's moving over that water is pretty significant, whereas this water here is actually being protected by this wall that we're standing on. Now, if the weather was really bad, you would actually get some movement.
it's
There is
still-
like little movement there,
Yeah.
right? You can see that,
Yeah.
so it's not perfect.
But you've just said, I get a glass of water and I blow on it.
Yeah.
You're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But what
Exactly.
explains the tides then that come in and come out
Okay.
at the at the
Okay.
same times?
Well, now I have to theorize about that. I can't tell you I know exactly how that is, but let me first debunk the idea that it's the moon creating the tides by letting you know that the fjords in Sweden, Scandinavia, have no tides, that the Mediterranean has no tide, and that the Great Lakes in America, which are massive, almost small seas, have no tides. Now, if it's the moon is attracting them, we should have the big tides in the equator and almost no tides here in the north, whereas we have some of the biggest tides in the world right here in England, and on the equator you've got like 2 foot of tide. And as I said, the Mediterranean has no tide, debunking the idea that the moon is somehow dragging on this and creating a bulge. So what do I think on a flat Earth? I think that this system has pumping stations, that there is water being moved in and out, breathing in and out of this system. And those pumping stations must be local to places like England, which have the most insane tides, 20 and 30-foot tides.
So you're telling me that the government have created a mass machinery far more technically advanced than we can
To make the tides?
To make the tides.
No, the government have nothing to do with it. The government is
So
trying to hide that
so
God made
where
it.
is the machinery coming from to do that?
There are some people who theorize that there are some sort of machines, but for me it's electromagnetic. So this
where
system is being...
where is electromagnetic coming from?
Well, do you believe in Big Bang?
Yes, it's very
Everything from nothing.
Yeah.
So don't be too hard on me when I say I don't necessarily know all of the answers, because if everything can come from nothing, and I was an atheist, believer in evolution and all of that just 8-9 years ago, So I know that I used to believe that everything came from nothing, and that we got no.
I've got a very open view to everything.
Okay.
I don't believe that
Well-
in religion. That seems to be.
So let me offer you this: if all roads lead to Rome, and the Vatican is the head of religion, and those same people or those same entities developed the knights or the kings, and then the government, then those governments are really an extension of that religious order.
I mean,
religious.
Take Christianity. It was designed to control people. It was designed to
Just like
instill
gravity.
fear.
Yeah, just
and
like gravity. Honestly, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can prove that gravity exists.
Well, you can prove that that thing that you picked up will fall back down, yes, or the helium will go up. You can prove that, and I've got no problem with that. But that's the observation to then make the claim that that means water is now going to stick to the outside of an object, which it will never do in physics, but it's a theoretical idea, just because
Yeah,
something fell
So
to the
you're
floor.
saying,
If
for
I-
instance,
if
you have
I
a
get-
small object. You try to pour water over it, it won't stick.
Yeah, no matter how
So
big the object is.
So in the
But it's
new
not.
case over in this area, we have people saying water's wet. Yeah, like water can stick to water, and water is technically wet. Would you say water is technically wet?
Apparently not. Someone asked me this the other day, actually. I mean, I don't have
to
any.
be wet, it
I
has
don't.
to be an object with water
Yeah.
on it. It has
Yeah.
to be water.
Right, that would be weird. But water there's some rules about water. Water must be contained. You know, if you break your glass, then you know it's going to fall on the floor, and if there's a slope, it's going to run down that slope. These are things that we all intrinsically know, but we're sort of brainwashed at 6 years old to say that. But because the Earth is so big, water can now run up the Nile, up the side of Africa, for 1,000, 2,000 miles. Even though the fall from the top of the Victoria Falls to its end in Egypt is only like a mile.
Well, in that case,
Water runs downhill and must be contained.
Yeah. So you're saying water always has to flow downhill?
Is that not what you're? I mean, the only way you can interfere with that is to mechanically or somehow interfere with it. Like you could create a bend, and if it falls down and
There
it'll
is
go
a
up for a
place
little
that
bit.
water technically from
I've heard that.
optical.
But you know that's
Point of view.
Yeah, from an optical point of view. But in reality, water must flow downhill. You
Well,
can't get water unless you
but-
blow it.
And
or
that
push it.
proves that gravity exists. Because it going down.
But there is no down according to the globe. There is no down. There is only down is relative.
So you're
no
saying
up
there's
and
only
down.
in a cross.
I'm saying there's up and down. Hot air rises, cold air sinks. That's what we see in reality.
Yeah. Thermodynamics.
And thermodynamics, yes. And the second law says that if you break the seal, then there will be equalization. And that's why we say there must be a seal. We cannot be getting out of this place. There has to be a roof. And a guy called Admiral Byrd is someone you might want to research because he's a Navy guy. He got 3 ticket tape raids through New York in the 1950s because he was so popular. He spent 10 years exploring North Pole and 15 years down in the South Pole with an entire fleet. He had an aircraft carrier and 5,000 men. And he had fuel dumps all the way into Antarctica, and he would fly a plane and drop fuel and fly for another few hours and drop more fuel and so on. And he came back and did a TV interview back in the 1950s saying, we found land bigger than America, and we found resources that will last humanity a lifetime. And the next year they signed the Antarctic Treaty. The next year after that, he made that statement.
Wow.
So they've locked us out of there for some vital reason. We think that there's some clue to our story, that our story is fantastic, and it is beyond our believing.
That's classified.
No comment.
Oh, have you actually been down to Antarctica?
No comment.
Okay, because the way that we see it, hey, just out of interest, is the way that we see it. If you've not seen this already
They're
before.
probably hiding aliens up there, for sure.
Well, you see, on a flat Earth, there is extra terra, there is extra Earth, extraterrestrials. So, just by the way, like if you were, say, doing Australia work and you were going onto the Antarctic shelf, you would probably be going down, or New Zealand, you'd be probably going down here, and then I think this is like Ross Shelf down here at the bottom of South America, and then South Africa has its own mission where they also travel down to this part of the Antarctic. But all these countries, the Scandinavian countries, they all signed, and the original ones to sign the Antarctic Treaty was them. This is an old flying map, and just from a sailing point of view, because people often say, well, how can you sail around the Earth if it's flat? Well, all ancient mariners, long before the globes, the oldest globe, the very first globe is only 500 years old, the very first globe, which it means hundreds of years before most mariners ever even came across the globe. But you got a magnetic system here that may not be a North Pole, but let's just say that there's a North Pole and you can always face east or west, and do the circumnavigation, any of this Vendee or any of the around the world circumnavigation can be done with a central north and going east and west. But we've never gone south and come out to the other side, south-north circumnavigation. We've never gone into Antarctica and flown out the other side. So these are things that, I mean, I obviously I don't know what you know from your experience.
I cannot comment on
You
that.
can't speak. But why would these things be kept secret from the average man? Like the war that I was in, why were they keeping a secret? The CIA's involvement in the war.
No, I would. I think that is very suspicious. Why would that secret be kept from us, normal people?
We're the taxpayers, right? We're essentially, the taxpayers are
What's wrong
paying
with that?
the Navy's salary. And
can't
so why aren't
explain.
we allowed to? Look, you know what, I used to believe in that. I used to believe our governments must keep secrets because we can't handle the truth, you see?
Again,
And there might be something to that, which is why we think that it's possible
Well,
that in the
the thing is-
1950s they found the flat Earth truth, but they've been hiding it ever since.
well, the thing is,
That's why they invented NASA.
well, the thing is, you start giving all the information to people. There's going to be hysteria. There's going to be
Dude, give me
riots,
5.
and there's going to be.
Yeah, well, this is what I think. And then I think that's why they need like little mice like me to go out and like start seeding this idea that we've been deceived, because they can't come out on the BBC and say, by the way,
on
we've
that
been lying
level,
to you.
on that level, I can't comment on that level. But I'm saying is that the public don't need to know everything. If that makes sense. They don't need to know everything.
Well, but don't you? But we're grown, aren't we? You know, grown. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate. I understand that there's a huge deception. I understand 9/11. I understand, but you know, 9/11, by the way, was an inside job. It seems, right? So it wasn't Osama. I think we can probably agree on that.
I would definitely argue a different angle to that one. But we need to go for our dinner.
Did you
reservation.
take my?
Yeah.
Did you take my flyer?
Yes.
Please take my flyer
I will
and shake
take
my
your
hand. I've really
Thank
enjoyed
you so
talking to you both. It's been
Are you pro or
Illuminating.
against billionaires? Just really quickly. Are you,
pro against billionaires.
yeah, are you
Um,
against
The 1%ers.
capitalism?
I haven't really, you see, so I think that what controls us is 0.001%, so it's a very small minority.
Okay.
Billionaires are often created
What
to...
kind of minority?
yeah, is it alien? Is it alien? Is it alien?
I'm going to walk away at that point.
All right, brothers and sisters, have a good life, all the best,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. See you later.
But I don't mind people, if they've got lots of money, then good luck to them, you know, but there you go.